So I'm wondering how all y'all think about SoundCloud's place in the current music marketing landscape. Because back in the day, SoundCloud had a lot of moments, right? There's been a lot of, especially electronic dance music artists of various forms who like got their footing in SoundCloud, dropping like bootleg remixes and stuff, and or just legitimate tracks as well. But then also, there's been a lot of hip hop artists who blew up on SoundCloud back in the day, and I think a lot of like the emo rap scene even started off and
Mhm.
there were like future bass, emo rap. There's been like kind of EDM and hip hop, kind of like a lot of it popped off from SoundCloud back in the day. People don't really talk about it nowadays. Like back then, there was like SoundCloud repost and like repost exchange and all this like channels that built out of it. And now a lot of that turned into like spammy fluff that no one wants to touch anymore for obvious reasons because it doesn't work. But none of us really talk about SoundCloud. I'm wondering if there's a
Do
reason
any of
why. I have
us
my own
use it
opinions
any
about it, but
capacity? Because I
I I
don't.
I'll
I
tell you
used it
guys
today.
yeah, I'll tell you guys an interesting way I use it. Let's say I hear a song that's really out there. So, like, for example, I'm really into this record by this person, Kim J. Really just like you hit play on this, you're like, this is fucking a mind from another world. I go into SoundCloud whenever I hear something weird, and then I let it autoplay after playing a song because I find what it autoplays is often very interesting things that are similar to it. So if I want to explore something new, it's very useful to me.
That's
I
interesting,
also
though. Well, I was
no,
just gonna
go ahead,
say
go ahead.
this, is that and I referenced Malcolm Gladwell's, and I forget the name of the book, but he talks about how, like, things become trends, and one of that is something called mavens. And oftentimes, mavens discover things before other people because they discover in spaces that people don't exist or people aren't exploring. And so SoundCloud might be that now. I mean, it kinda always has been to a degree, but Jesse, I mean, you're a self-proclaimed hipster, right? And I'm not. I use all the mainstream stuff. But if Jesse's finding things, I mean, that's an interesting way to find things. You might be discovering things that down the road will, become far more popular. And so that's interesting to hear that about SoundCloud.
One of the other things we should say is it's very popular with people who don't pay for streaming services, apparently.
Yeah.
That like
interesting.
YouTube, this is another one of the things that people who don't have enough disposable income to pay use for a lot of music discovery, and you find that that's very common.
That's because for some reason SoundCloud's business model is instead of charging fans, we should just charge artists.
And advertisers, very annoying ads.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So the way I primarily use SoundCloud is it's one of the better ways to upload your demo and share it to people and still be able to like lock it down again relatively easily when you go onto something else, but also have like an easy streamable link that doesn't require someone to like download an MP3, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like public enough. And I see a lot of people using it for that. Um, and like Jesse said, there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't exist elsewhere. And I think certain genres obviously do really well on it. Obviously, cloud rap was very much a thing and it's kind of over now. But we, but what I'm saying is that you see that scene still very much on SoundCloud, right? Like you see certain groups of creators where like that is the native platform much more than Spotify, the same way that we were talking last week about Bandcamp being like, okay, maybe it's not really the place for like a rapper, but like metal and punk bands do great there. Like SoundCloud has its own genres that work really well there.
So, well, let
Yeah.
me ask you a question though. Because of that freedom of exchange, I think about it like Pinterest. And I don't use SoundCloud, but I will say one thing about Pinterest lately, and I love Pinterest, I use it all the time. It has been overcome with AI slop.
Mhm.
Is that happening on SoundCloud?
Not in the way I see it, but I would be
Yeah.
curious to talk to somebody else. The big thing I see of artists who actually find a useful thing of it is that they, when you tag your micro genre, there's often people who are DJs who are looking for really upcoming good tracks. There's, just people who really go into specific scenes and do it. The other thing that a lot of artists I work with do that make weirder music is they put up all their songs on SoundCloud and then see what people react to, and they tell people about their SoundCloud a lot of times because they can't clear samples as well.
Hmm.
And then they see what's worth actually pursuing, and then they go in and they go, all right, do I replay this sample or do I actually do this now that I've seen that there's proof of concept has worked?
And
Interesting.
there's really something to be said that it's so easy to get something up on SoundCloud. Like I could just start recording talking right now and get it on SoundCloud before we're done recording this podcast, which again, I think makes it really easy, especially early on as you try to get a vibe, you know, it's worth
Which is
thinking
funny
about.
because that's how I use TikTok. I tell artists all the time, just make a video, make a demo, post it, see how it reacts.
Yeah.
But it's
Does
easier to
SoundCloud have
consume
this?
like the proper song on SoundCloud.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, like,
It's
SoundCloud's
some
actually like a dedicated music platform. I mean, there's a lot of elements of SoundCloud that I kinda wish, or at least kinda could imagine a world where Spotify adapts some of them. Like, there's a feed, and people can repost stuff to their feed, and you can like and comment on songs with timestamps and all that, and so there's, like, a social element to it that's really cool. So, like, if someone sends you a track, let's say you're sending a demo, you can, like, leave a timestamp at a comment at a specific timestamp saying, like, "Oh, I really like this, but you should try this." Something. So from, like, an audio, like, or like a band perspective, it's pretty handy, but also as, like, a fan perspective, it's like, "Well, that drop here is sick," and, like, when you're playing SoundCloud, you can they put the comments over the, waveform, so you can see, like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're getting close to a part, and there's, like, hundreds of comments around there. This is gonna be sick," or whatever, right? And no other platform has that social music combination thing other than SoundCloud.
They got rid of the best feature of all time, in my opinion. I think about making an app for it every day, and then I remember I like what I do with my life, so why bother? But, there used to be groups, like Facebook groups, where
Yeah.
it would be just genres, and honestly, when they took that away, there were so many people, particularly in my circles of, like, weirder, more experimental electronic music, or, like, that's when things kinda died for me in music because it was just so easy to
Did
see
they say why they
this.
took it away?
They went through so many handovers of management. I remember being out to drinks with some employees one night and them describing, like, the hell of, like, you're like, "Oh, I've gotta check in with my manager next week." "Oh, that's not even the person who was here last week," and just constant changeover.
God, that sucks though, because that actually sounds cool. It's kinda how I wish Facebook groups were, because Facebook groups are great for marketing, but they're so inaccessible in so many different ways, and I wish they were about music, and, that'd be such an amazing way. Because look, like, you guys touched somebody touched on this earlier about how niche down everything is, and I'd love an app that just kinda did that, just shared niche genres that wasn't algorithmically curated, that was curated by a group of people.
You just need to use Rate Your
Yeah.
Music, bro.
Rate your
I
music.
mean,
Oh, yeah,
he
that
he's
actually is a very good
you're
site to
not
use.
wrong. That Rate Your
Like,
Music
I'm just
really is a
saying.
lot of really is a lot of that. It's just it sucks because you can't listen to the record as easily, whereas
Yeah.
SoundCloud, it was so easy to just be like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, this song sucks. I'm hitting skip and going to the next one," and it
But
was just so easy.
I will say as a side point, and Jesse and I have both made videos about this, but Rate Your Music is like the single best way to really study your niche
Yeah.
because they have so many tags on like literally almost every release ever. And it's also a thing where it's like if you make, I don't know, Memphis rap, you can like filter for the 10 best Memphis rap records since 2022 and just like study them and study the artists and like really get a sense of what's going on.
I heard a rumor that Suno used Rate Your Music to train its keywords because, like, it's
I'd
so
believe that.
thoroughly cataloged that, like, basically they download the world's music, download all the description of the music and Rate Your Music, and then, like, they use the descriptions of Rate Your Music as, like, to correlate the sounds of stuff. And then people were testing it on YouTube of, like, "Well, if I go and I copy all the tags for, like, the contortionist and put it in, do I get the contortionist?" And they did, like, a bunch of, like, dead on examples where they clone the keywords, and the output was, like, the exact artist they were cloning the keywords for.
Well, I mean, and what's funny is too is if you go to Submit Hub's AI for genre finding, they credit that they use Discogs genre tags.
Uh,
They don't even keep it secret. I mean,
which is better,
hmm.
honestly. Like, I kinda wish that stuff was just open, although they don't wanna make it open because 'cause they're currently getting sued.
Yeah,
Yep.
but to circle back, SoundCloud has those tags and is a good way to discover a lot of these things. And it's kind of like Bandcamp, where it's like if you're trying, and again, it very much depends on the niche you're in. But if you're trying to understand what's going on in your little music world, studying those tags and seeing the other artists and doing a little homework is going to teach you a whole hell of a lot.
Yep.
Yep.
I think really once you have a clue of where you are genre wise, if you don't start digging through rate your music, you're doing yourself a great disservice for the
Man, I
marketing
can't
of your
believe I've
music.
never used that site. I'm like immediately gonna go check it out.
It's
It's
how
really
it's how I keep track of like cool records coming out so that Jesse doesn't have to look at me in disgust when I don't know about them.
I mean, you guys are much more hipster than me. I mean, being in Nashville, it's like if I got my button on country and that's all I have capacity for, which is funny
I
because I'm not a
use
huge country guy, but that's what
I've
I
been
got to
like
do.
I've been using Last FM since 2007, and that's like a huge way I track, but also like I've been it's like Sputnik Music's another big one I use.
Yeah.
Sputnik music.
I
I
like
feel
how
like we
Last
should
FM
put
is
a
another tool, by the
master.
way, that's really, really helpful for understanding similar artists. Like, especially if there's like one, like I always talk about finding your niche by going like, okay, who's like the big headliner I want to open for? Now who opens for them? Now who opens for them? And then you're starting to like get to a place where you're like with artists playing 300 caps and you can like study that scene. Last FM is a great way to do that because you can take Metallica and then go see the smaller whatever bands and figure out which ones fit. And then you don't even have to like chunk down and chunk down because you can just be like, okay, Metallica has 30 million listeners, but I don't know, fucking Void have 5,000. Well, that probably seems like something I could actually do because the Metallica success isn't realistic.
The other thing that's really interesting is this is what ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini are still so terrible at. Is like, you ask it what similar artists are, you're going to get way worse answers than Spotify fans also like, which every artist hates. And like all these things, these are all way better answers.
I've got a pretty sick prompt that I use. I was gonna say I have a lot of really good luck with ChatGPT with contemporary
Mm.
competition, but I kind of phrase it like how you phrased it, Matt, and it does a good job of finding acts that I am just like, wow, this is perfect. I mean, like all things ChatGPT, it's about prompts and information you give it. Like copy for ChatGPT is terrible, but if you give the right prompts, it gets really close.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I'm gonna have to check these out too. I was saying we should make a master list of tools that we like because I learned so much from you guys just on things I've never even heard about.
I have one with 150 of it on it.
So let's just use Jesse's master. Let's not
We
compile one
should
because it probably contains everything already.
Yeah.